Hey, this is a follow-up video on my kettlebell clean tutorial. Some of you are still having some problems getting a good kettlebell clean into that rack position. So here are a few fixes and some exercises you can do to try to eliminate any wrist banging or improper rack positions that you may be experiencing. So the first thing you can do is get rid of the kettlebell wrist guards for the practice sessions so you get that feedback so when you know you're doing it wrong or whether you're doing it right. The first exercise is doing a cheek clean into the rack position and then allowing the kettlebell to drop down into a one-arm pendulum swing. Now you don't need to do a full swing here, just a little pendulum swing. What this allows you to do is to get used to the path of the kettlebell, which is straight up the body into that rack position. So the way it goes down is the way it comes up, and that's the whole idea. You want to get used to that hand rotating around the kettlebell, not the kettlebell, around the hand and slapping in the wrist. So I'll just go through a few reps here of the cheek clean into a pendulum swing. So cheek clean, pendulum swing with one arm. Cheek clean, pendulum swing. Cheek clean, pendulum swing. Cheek clean, and pendulum swing. Good. Second thing you can do is get that proper wrist position in the rack position. You want a straight wrist. Now a straight wrist you'd think is like this, but actually if you put a load on that, what you're going to get is your wrist breaking backwards like that, and that's no good. That's not very strong. What you want is to stack your bones. In all kettlebell training, you always want to stack those bones. It's the strongest position. So you see my knuckle, my wrist, and my elbow are all stacked, and that's a strong position right there. And it means that your wrist is a little bit bent, right? Not like this, but more like this. You'll get it when you see it. Third thing I want to mention is to get a better clean. You might actually be using too light a weight. So the thing you can do is actually grab a heavier weight, and what this does, it prevents you from curling that kettlebell with your bicep and turning it into a bicep curl rather than a clean. And it teaches you to use the hip hinge and the power you can generate in your hips and translating that force upwards into that clean position. And the key here is your hips can generate lots of power, and it's learning how to generate just enough power to get that kettlebell into the rack position without over boosting and banging your wrist, right? And that's just practice. You know, I can throw out a number about 30% of your one arm swing weight is probably what you need to get into the rack position, but you need to play with this. The last thing I want to talk about is the rack position. So, right, the rack position, again, is right here. Vertical forearm, straight wrist, right? 3 points of contact, forearm, bicep, upper chest. And the reason you do this is that the kettlebell is over the hip. It's down. If you push down on here, it's pretty stable. Now, I see a lot of people cleaning out here. If you push down on this, it's going to drop. You might even hurt your shoulder. I see a lot of people when they're doing overhead presses, what they'll do, or squats, is they'll rest the kettlebell like this up on their shoulder, and that's just not safe. It's not stable, and it's not proper form. What you want to do is get that form down right from the get-go so you don't have any problems with the more advanced techniques like the push press, clean and press, front squat. Okay, so get that technique down. Good. Let's go through some reps here so you guys can see what a good clean looks like. And the main thing is get that time in. You need to practice, practice, practice. Nothing. I can talk until I go blue in the face, but if you're not practicing, you're not going to get better at this. Okay? So put in the time and you'll get better at this. So here are a few reps just to demonstrate what I've been talking about. you go, kettlebell clean.